In this video, we're taking a look at Akiira, who managed to qualify for the very first console cup. They were second, as well as they managed to get last season's grand finals while playing on console, which is a crazy hard achievement. We're taking a look at mostly their fighting in this video, as well as some things they're doing endgame, and there's a lot of things that you guys can learn if you're playing controller, or if you want to go ahead and get better at opens. Akiira is the player to watch for this. Alright, this very first fight is just really basic fundamentals whenever you're fighting. First of all, he tries to look for the counter shot with a Spanish straight away, doesn't hit it, and he's left in this situation where there's two people ramping towards each other and you've got a cone over your head. Instead of doing anything complicated like trying to edit through or edit course the person, instead just look for damage. So what does he do? He sprints out, jumps to the right hand side and lines up a free shot with the right hand peak. It's so simple, and of course he gets the kill because the other guy's got no shield, but this is going to happen so often in your games. You can easily get damage advantage if you just do that sprinting to the right. If this other person went ahead and ramped up, you'd still be able to get a free shot, and oftentimes with the spads you can get an easy opening 100 with that right hand peak. Now for the rest of this game, it's Akiira fully W king. So how do you go ahead and have successful W key, especially during off spawn? Well, what he does and prioritizes straight away is getting this fast farm brick as he pushes over. So you can see he very quickly gets up to cat brick, and at this point in time, having cat brick within about a minute or two off spawn means you're basically unkillable, because you can just play defensive, you can play boxes, you can play angles, and the person that he's going to fight, as you can see here over at racetrack, has only 7 builds. This guy basically is stuck in a really hard situation trying to get his shield up. He's already fought off spawn, and because Akiira's pushing this quickly, he's a massive advantage as well. So what does he do? Crouches, goes ahead and sneaks up. And one tip I'd recommend with the twin mag AR is try not to go for headshots. It might seem like you want to go for a headshot in this situation, but if you do, I find a lot of the time the kick's just going to take you straight up on the player. So if you go ahead and put your crosshair like in the center, so you're guaranteed a hit, then as you can see, he gets the kick up and it actually leads to a headshot straight after. So now he's got massive damage advantage. What's he going to go ahead and do? Try to finish the fight and just get one pump shot. He jumps into a left hand peak again here. This might look like a good peak for the other player. However, this guy's in the incorrect position on the wall. Akiira jumps around, gets the shot, and the guy's not able to get the wall up quick enough. His next fight is very similar. One important thing to note is Akiira always takes first assaults. As you can see here, he's able to get that little bit of extra damage on the spray. And then as he pushes over, he gives the opponent a little bit of time to think they can heal, right? He lets the opponent box up thinking they've been tagged from great distance away and they're safe to heal up. But as he's doing this, he's closing the distance and he's letting them throw their splashes. A lot of times people go ahead and just instantly spray as soon as they hit somebody, but if you let them heal, it allows you to do this. As you can see, the other player is caught in the animation of throwing their splash, as you can see, as the wall gets broken, and Akiira is able to land a whole load of shots and then now push over, grab the double edit from above, does the right hand peak, and takes out the opponent. And very interesting to note is he hasn't really taken any damage in all these fights, apart from that very first initial left hand peek they did on the guy that was 1 HP. He's always very careful to do right hand peeks to make sure he takes no damage as he pushes over, as well as the fact that he takes the infiltrator pump rather than the blue sharp tooth, since it's a lot better to do on console because of how good the aim assist is with this gun. One thing that's impressed me most with Akiira is how good he is at going ahead and swapping the angles that he's pressuring from to catch people off guard. So right here, you can see the fight opens up, no damage has been traded, and this other player instantly builds a 2x1. Of course, got the box fighting masterclass. What does Akiira do? He goes ahead, places this bait stair, acts like he's going to run onto it, and what does the guy do? He goes ahead and turns his attention, opens a pre-edit, getting ready to do a trade if Akiira was to jump down there, which he's going to win since he's got a spaz. Now Akiira goes in, pressures the other side. Once again, within about a second this has all happened, he baits the guy out by changing his direction. The guy now turns his attention away, starts thinking about where Akira is going to drop down. He forgets about the wall that's been low HP. And you've got to remember, this blue circle on the wall is going to last there for quite a decent time. So you can jump down, now get the wall, now try to go for a right hand peak. Doesn't quite get it since the guy's playing between the boxes. This is where Akiira goes ahead and keeps on pressuring different things. While this guy is drawn to the attention of this floor, Akiira has remembered the wall is low HP, potentially tries to get a shot from there. While this guy is focused on going for this counter peek from inside his box, Akiira is just holding the cone, not letting him take anything, grabbing his own edits, and then now the other guy is forced to drop down as his floor is getting pressured. This fight goes on for a while, and the first damage that get exchanged here, you're going to see how good of a peek Akiira has. He's swinging his pickaxe, he immediately gets ready for this counter peek the other guy's going to do, and this might look like a good edit, so you might think it might catch somebody off guard, but take a look at how bad of a peek this guy's actually just done because of how well Akiira's set up from above. He literally can't even see Akiira at all. There's not a single molecule of him that is visible. Somehow his pump hits 32, but he instantly gets banged 100, and now he's on the defensive. and he ends up getting taken out after using all his mats reboxing. Now Akiira is going ahead and pushing over to these players that are fighting. Whenever you approach a fight like this, it's very important that you don't put yourself between the two players when they're fighting. Try to go ahead and get a damage advantage on one of them and then be able to isolate them without the other one pinching you. So what he does here is he tags the one who's on the most outside, so the one who's not in all the builds, and then now he's got a little bit of damage advantage to just pressure with. How does he pressure? Is he sets up to block off the right hand peak from this other player, so he blocks off his left, then does 2 cones, and then now it's just going to smack on the wall. And this guy is very confident in their ping, and whenever people are confident in the ping, that is normally when they make mistakes. So you can see this guy is going ahead and holding his wall. It finally gets taken, and now he's panicking because he knows that the wall's been taken, and this wall is in the control of Akiira, and he can't go this way because of the other player, and he ends up just getting stuck in the box. Akiira with the infiltrator, right in peak, perfectly swings behind it, so the other guy has no visibility on him, and then perfectly peeks back in with the infiltrator. That is the main advantage of the infiltrator, you can get those 2 sort of quick tack shots off while the other player isn't ready and their sharp tooth isn't ready as well. Alright guys, if you ever need to go ahead and get a refresh in the jungle biome, just sit in one of these fern plants. It's almost impossible for somebody to see you as you sit in these plants. People won't even think that you're there, and they'll run straight up to you or straight past you, and you can go ahead and get a pump shot and then take them out. And of course, combat SMG is so good for taking people out through builds, as you guys should know. Another one of the best ways to get refreshes if you need them towards endgame is as you're rotating to either 6th, 7th, or the 8th zone, like Akiira is doing right now, it's just pause and hide behind wood builds. He did make the mistake here of not swinging into the builds enough, as this other player actually saw him, but this other player now has to decide if he wants to block off behind him or if he wants to block off Akiira, or he would just run straight into Akiira hiding on this right peak. As you can see, other player gets cracked, and now Akiira does this perfectly, is he fights with the server, as you can see. At no point here is he getting looked at by the server. He's always coming from behind, sprays into the box, other players getting sprayed from behind, and he gets an easy kill and gets basically the best loot possible going into this endgame with 4 slurps. One big thing that people do a lot endgame this season is try to kill people as they rocket ramp. So what you can go ahead and do is do what Akiira does here. So as he rotates, he's using line of sight really well, and he goes ahead and ramps up just like this. And take a look at this build, sort of side jump he does to get up and box up on this hill. So now he's elevated compared to other players, so they can't really fight him, as well as the fact he's close enough to this other player. And what does he do straight away? He gets in his cone, spots this other player who's overcommitting and spraying, ramps up and gets a really easy refresh and gets a rocket ram for endgame as well. Now straight after getting this refresh, Akiira does the correct thing, which is check how many extra mats he has and then pre-build height with these mats. Height this season you might think is really risky, especially playing it this early, since all the rocket rams can just hit you with height and die to full damage, but he does it correctly here. So he just sort of pre-builds height and then uses it and builds this box backwards, looking at other players as they're going to rocket ram. The really important thing here compared to the other players, he's a lot higher up, as well as he has turned his back to the zone, so there's nobody behind him, as well as the fact that he now has really good sight lines for people as they rotate forward. So you can see how he converts this into even more kills and refreshes endgame. First one, very simply, somebody rocket ramming from backside, goes ahead and hits a pump shot, and he makes sure to go ahead and get all of the builds from this as well. So he's very cautious getting all the builds, gets the metal as well, which is really important since he's missing metal. And then now, instead of just rocket ramming from this back box, instead he goes ahead and keeps tarping forward with all these mats, and he's going to wait for other players to make mistakes. And if you guys don't know how to rocket ram correctly, I made a short on that recently, you can go watch it. So as you can see here, this other player messes up his rocket ram, doesn't phase his cone correctly, and he's left with a 2-second whole animation in completely the open. Very easy kill for Akiira. He gets the extra slurps, he tags Storm for them, as well as the extra mats. Now he's cat mats going into halfway through first moving. Of course, he's going to win this game easily. The rest of this video is from the Solos Masterclass 5.0 update. It's coming out in 3 days on Saturday. If you guys want to go ahead and get your earnings in solos, this is the best way to do it, is by learning how to take height. And of course, it's going to result in a lot of kills as well for opens. There's 3 main methods of height, and the first one is what Akiira does in this game. Now, how do you go ahead and take height early this season if you want to play it from first moving or even second moving? Normally, I'd recommend playing height from later on, like third moving, but there is a viable way of playing height, especially in solos as well. So what you want to go ahead and do is try to find a connection point end of first moving, like here, that's going to be stable and strong. You can see exactly what Akiira does. He goes ahead and has double connected brick, and he's connected to this massive base right here. You need to remember, if you're playing height, you need to have a rocket ram charge. You can't just rocket ram and then go ahead and do this, because you're just going to die to full damage if you get chopped out, if your ram charge isn't available. From there, you want to go ahead and make sure you're really well connected, so you've got no weak points, right? like he is here. He's very well connected, and then he goes ahead and starts tarping up on second moving swap. So you can see he's not tarping forward, he's tarping up with ramps, so he can easily go ahead and get these beams on people as they go ahead and rocket ramp. People pretty much always go ahead and use the rocket ramp on zone swaps. Not many people save it or tarp forward and then use it later on. So you just need to make sure that you're high enough up and you've done enough for these ramps up. So when people go ahead and rocket ramp on this zone swap, you're going to be in a really good position here to go ahead and get some free kills at the air like he does, as well as people when they rocket ramp don't break ramp. You can see this player went ahead and did it and has actually ended up below Akiira, as you can see. Two very important things that when you're playing height like this is you need to make sure you're about 15 layers off low ground. So that means that when people go ahead and rocket from here, they only go up about 14 or 13 tiles, which means you're not going to get your builds broken up by them. Another very important thing is instead of being on the center of zone right here, as you can see, Akiira is basically the middle of zone, which means everybody is rocket ramming from underneath him and then going in front of him. That isn't really ideal, because what happens is people can, let's say, tank storm, and then they'll be rocket ramming from behind you and then breaking your builds out, and you won't be able to see where they're coming from. What I'd recommend doing instead of being on the middle of zone like this, is try to go towards the edge of zone. So you can see here, you can very easily just tarp along this left-hand side of zone straight like this, or what is actually better to do in a lot of the cases is to go along the right hand side of zone. It does end up being a little bit more mats than if you were to just go straight forward. However, it is worth it, because as you can see here, what is going to go ahead and happen is as he's focused on getting these kills out of the air, right, is somebody is going to go ahead and rocket ram from behind him in storm. Which is exactly what happens here. Somebody rocket rams and he's not on a high enough level where it doesn't break his builds. Another person rocket rams from behind him, underneath him in storm, because he's not playing that edge, and they break out all of his builds and he wastes a lot of mats there. If he was to go ahead and continue, let's say, tarping along like this and then cutting in, sticking to edge of storm, this wouldn't happen, right? So what he does is after this, he realizes he's too low to the low ground players. He needs to get up. He needs to be about 15 layers above the players down on low ground, so 15 up, and it actually ends up looking like this, right? You're basically fully sky basing compared to everybody else, and this means that you're not going to get broken out by players when they rocket ramp, even if they go straight up. So you can see here, this is how it ends up looking. He's obviously quite low mats at this point because he got broken out a few times and used a lot of mats on that first moving build. But what happens is people will come straight up, as you can see, they're trying to break him out. However, they don't get high enough. They end up one tile below you, as you can see right there, and they're not able to break out your builds, and instead you're able to go ahead and take them out and get damage on them. More players do this. They go ahead and rocket ram, easy kills out the air, try to come up and break the builds out, very small, dead. Lovely stuff. It's really simple to do this, and I recommend trying to do it in opens. In high level games where there's a lot more players alive than just like 20 or 30 moving, it is a lot harder to do this because a lot more people are going to try to contest height. People will look back and shoot you out. They'll find weak points like a single floor back in storm, or even just one of these wood floors right there would actually be able to break out this whole height up. So you need to make sure that you have your rocket ram ready. So when you get shot out, you go ahead and rocket ram. And do not just rocket ram straight up. Instead, rocket ram front side. You can tank storm, get to the end of zone like Akiira does here. And then now he's in a position to convert this into a win because he saved a lot of mats. He just has to kill these other two players down on low ground. Now the next two methods I think are a lot better for playing height in this season. So what you want to go ahead and do is just rotate first moving normally and then try to find a refresh at this point in time. This is the player who actually won the overall console cup with his really nice height take last game, and he also took out Akiira in this very last game. So what he does is he goes ahead and pre-pops his slurp and then doubles back into storm to find these players that are fighting. And the main reason you want to do this is these players are obviously going to be insanely stacked. They've just got 2 players worth of loot, as well as the fact that they're going to be sitting there popping whites and not really be too aware. So he pushes over, he goes ahead and sneaks up, gets that kill, and then as you can see here, he gets insanely stacked on loot. He gets a med mist, he gets extra splashes, he gets extra slurp, as well as a rocket ram. And now if you take a look, he's basically done his rotate for second moving just by tanking storm and first moving and then having a rocket ram available to him. So he picks up the rocket ram and he's going to go ahead and rotate his own. And at this point in time, you can go ahead and execute the height, where you go ahead and land up on height, you break out the builds that height was on, and you maybe even get 50 damage on them, and then you would go ahead and crank up on height at this point in time. So about halfway through second moving or the end of second moving, you can do this. What Nafri actually decided to do, I think is a little bit better, is he just plays his mass advantage for a second. He doesn't want to get griefed on the zone swap in a second here, so what he does is just tarp forward for the rest of second moving. So he just keeps on tarping forward, a sort of a regular game plan where he gets into a high layer end of second moving, and then now as third moving, he double checks, he looks up at height, still nobody on height because he griefed him earlier, and he's able to go ahead and just take height quite free. At this point in time, it's very important that you don't play in the middle of zone because you're just going to get chopped out like he does here. Instead, you want to go ahead and be connected either backside and then be on the edge of zone, of course. And you don't really want to be playing 15 layers up at this point in time. You maybe could, but that's just probably just going to get you shot out. Instead, you want to try to just play edge of storm like he does here. Keep pressure up on people as they rocket, and make sure when they do rocket, they're not going to be directly underneath you, breaking your builds out. Try to stick more towards the edge of storm, so stick along here on the edge of storm so people won't break you out. And then with your mat advantage, you should have enough mats to easily close out this game. So just to recap, the 3 methods of taking height this season are doing the Akiira sort of sky basing 15 layers up that you do from early on, like first moving, or you go ahead and get a refresh second moving and then take height from backside. You land up on height from backside on second moving, or you want to go ahead and do what Nafri did this game, which is on third moving. You want to go ahead and take height when it looks free. So you just have a mat advantage, you play your mats out well on mid ground, and then you just take height, play edge of zone, and you get left in easy situations like this, where you've got a nice and simple 1v1 with mat advantage, no chance that he loses that.